In our country, do you feel as though our tax dollars are working for us? Or are we working just to pay for taxes? This is a great question since inflation supposedly lightened up, but Americans are feeling the strain so much more. Were you guys aware that the IRS isn't waiting for Republicans to cut back on their money, as they've already dipped into the $80 billion budget that was provided through the Inflation Reduction Act? Also, Ukrainian President Zelensky is heated as the International Olympic Committee wants to include Russian athletes for the 2024 Olympics, saying that Russia should not be allowed to represent themselves in Paris. And President Biden talks about good news for the economy, while data shows the opposite of what he's saying. Does that surprise you at all? Seriously. Now, before I continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. I totally appreciate that. Really appreciate the support, you guys. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to what's happening in Washington, D.C., Social Security, SSI, SSDI, the stock market, the housing market, and everything that's going on that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There is a link in the description down below of this video. Guys, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is nervous about the country defaulting on debt and said that Americans stand to face a recession if Congress doesn't raise the ceiling debt ASAP. But here's a question for the secretary. Why doesn't the government work on a budget? Why doesn't the government just spend less money? Why do we have to keep going further and further into debt? We as individuals aren't supposed to go further and further into debt, right? So why does the country do it? I mean, think about it. You and I are on a budget, right? I mean, we can't just keep borrowing money to the tune of trillions of dollars because we'd either be in jail or in bankruptcy court, right? But hey, we should continue to raise the ceiling because we're being warned of a recession. Newsflash, it's already felt a lot like a recession since 2022. Janet Yellen was wrong about transitory inflation, and now they're forcing their way into spending more money. But get this, she says that if the GOP doesn't do what they say, we will have a financial crisis. It really feels as if many of us are already in that boat, Miss Yellen. Also, doesn't it feel like inflation is much worse compared to the number that we're being fed? I don't know, maybe double or almost triple it to make it make sense. House Republicans are calling the IRS out and actually want to abolish the program entirely. Now, one bill that's being introduced right now is the Fair Tax Act, placing a 30% sales tax on all purchases while removing taxes for Social Security, income, and Medicare. And so this means that workers would get to take their entire paychecks home, but will also have to decide if a sales tax would be the lesser of the two evils. But let's go back to the financial crisis that Miss Yellen is so scared of. Let me start by saying that there are plenty of small businesses closing shop, layoffs coming left and right, those on Social Security, SSI, SSDI applying for SNAP benefits, countless others swiping their credit cards just to buy food. Now, if this is not a financial crisis already, I don't really know what is. Now, I should also note that the same people who have had control over all of this have given themselves raises. Just imagine that. We're out here struggling, with how much we can buy at Target, Walmart, Home Depot, while we endure interest rate hikes on our credit cards that bust our wallets dry. But they somehow have the ability to pat themselves on the back and give each other a raise. Heck, even the Social Security increase for 2023 wasn't enough for those who received these benefits. But sure, you guys are doing a terrific job. Give yourself raises. Why stop there? Go ahead and give yourself bonuses too. And since I'm already on the topic, this reminds me of Carolyn Biden, president's niece, calling an $85,000 annual salary as below minimum wage. Is she friends with AOC? Because AOC can't live with her almost $200,000 a year salary. They must be living in the future where inflation has peaked for the country. Look, I don't mean to rant about this, but things are absolutely insane right now. And it feels as if we're being gaslit at every turn. What really grinds my gears is that we have people on Social Security being completely ignored and feeling anxious about their benefits. Is Social Security going to be around? What about the program solvency? Even though they've worked their entire lives and paid for it. I feel as though there's a chance the government's just completely lying to us about inflation numbers just so that they don't have to pay seniors more. But please share what you guys think about this. Now, I apologize if I went too far with my words on this one, but I get a little emotional every now and then. Now, let's see what the president thinks of all of this. Are we on the right path when it comes to our economy?
Just this morning, we got some very good news about the American economy. Every 3 months, the economic outlook of America is laid out on an official report, a government report, that on the state of the economy. It came out today, this morning, and I'm not sure, and I mean it sincerely, the news could have been any better. Economic growth is up, stronger than expert expected at 2.9%. We're growing. Jobs are the highest in American number and the highest in American history. and wages are up, and they're growing faster than inflation over the past 6 months.
A quick search online would show that this isn't true. Inflation is outpacing our wages, and it's been doing that for a couple of years now. I'm not sure which economist gave the president his notes, but it sure doesn't feel as if we're living in the same country as them. But hey, I could be wrong. They may be basing their numbers on a completely different parameter. We're also being told that job opportunities are everywhere. And while jobs are available, they don't bother to say that most of them either are part-time, maybe they don't offer any benefits at all, or the applicant may not have the skills needed to land the job. Now, while all of this is happening, the IRS is already deploying the $80 billion that they've received in funding. But rather than hiring 80,000 IRS agents, they've decided to take it slow by buying new technology and hiring 5,000 customer service staff who are there to answer our calls. Someone should put a timer as to how long calls are going to take to get through to the IRS now. Some say that the government should be more fiscally responsible so that we don't see problems like these arise. Or maybe even consider putting Americans first rather than send money overseas. Now, speaking of that, Ukrainian President Zelensky just called out the IOC, or the International Olympic Committee, over their desire to include Russian athletes in the 2024 Paris Olympics.
As reconstruction gets underway in Kyiv following 11 months of war, the International Committee's plan to include Russian and Belarusian athletes in next year's Games has sent shockwaves through Ukraine. The IOC says athletes shouldn't be discriminated against based on the passport they hold. Well, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he wants the committee's chief to come to see the front line.
Now, according to him, quote, "One cannot be disappointed by the statements of the current president of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach. I spoke with him several times, and I never heard how he's going to protect sports from war propaganda if he returns Russian athletes to international competitions. There is no such thing as neutrality when a war like this is going on, and we know how often tyrannies try to use sports for their ideological interests. It is obvious that any neutral flag of Russian athletes is stained with blood," end quote. Now, for a guy who's fighting a war, he sure does have a whole lot of time on his hands to think about stuff like this, right? What do you guys think? Now, while they worry about their problems, we have a bunch of problems of our own. Maintaining the same cash flow that we had years ago means that we're not keeping up with inflation. Layoffs are still happening, and we're still not getting the same paying jobs and opportunities that we once had before. But all is not lost. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to tell you that the path to financial freedom is difficult, but it's not impossible. There are many different ways to go about it. First would be budgeting. This is always a crucial step, a crucial piece of the puzzle. Cash flows next, and you could technically improve that with side hustles, starting a small business. We can also grow our money with investments, be it in the stock market, real estate. Now, if you guys are interested and you want to learn more about these opportunities, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. There's a link in the description of this video down below. But before I go, please don't forget to drop a like for the video and also subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. We can't stay silent if we have the facts, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another. I'll see you in the next one.